What is up, everybody? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show, aptly named until we get new headshots, right, Dan?
That's been a whole thing, but yeah,
it's been a whole thing. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
I'm Ray. We are both real estate agents who span the globe, depending on which way you travel, and we have a lot of really great, I always say like good news articles, great news. I don't really know how to phrase it. There's a lot of news. We started out the week slow, and we were in the show yesterday. So for those of you who don't know, on Clubhouse, we'll go live at 2 o'clock or 2 o'clock ish Central Time on Tuesday, and we'll talk about some of the shows and topics and things like that we're going to be covering this week. Well, as we did, we were like, well, where's the news? What's going on? Because it looked at the time like it was kind of slow, but it has ticked up a little bit. I think it was the holiday. I totally forgot that there was a holiday on Monday. And naturally, there wasn't just a lot of stuff out there. There wasn't a lot of stuff written. So, but with the help of the contributors, we did find some really interesting news articles. One of those being that the NAR Zillow lawsuit is allowed now to continue. So that's interesting. We'll talk about what that means for real estate agents and consumers. There's a big question. There was an article on Yahoo. Is it Yahoo? Yahoo or Yahoo?
I say Yahoo, but who was on the?
I thought it was Yahoo.
Well, who was on the show prep show yesterday? They kept saying Yahoo, and I think it might have been.
That's
I don't know.
Probably me. I think I call it Yahoo.
It's Yahoo.
I don't know.
I say Yahoo.
Really? Okay.
But if I'm excited, I guess I would go Yahoo. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Yahoo, you say tomato, I say tomato.
Comment down below. What do you say, Yahoo or Yahoo?
Comment down below. Yeah, hit me on the back channels. That's like I posted the other day. Is it Caribbean? And everyone's answer was Caribbean. So, all right.
No,
mortgage demand
Caribbean.
But it's a text. What if it's a text-based conversation? You can read that however you want.
Right.
Okay. So we're also going to talk about a couple of new one just released. So we're going to talk about mortgage demand falling to the lowest in 2 months.
Wow.
We're talking about 48% of renters. They are worried they'll never be able to buy. We're going to talk about homeowners insurance being more expensive because of natural disasters and climate change. Buyers' affordability is down. And then Biden, his affordability efforts, they say they are, quote, not making waves. So I think I put in the description that they're only making a ripple. But mortgage rates are still low. And could the end of forbearance be a housing boom or a housing bust? Is it going to cause us to crash? Or is our market finally going to normalize? So those are all the news stories that we're going to talk about in today's show. If you know any real estate professionals or people that might benefit from the show, we'd ask that you'd invite them in because they could comment on the show. If they're watching live through YouTube or Facebook or anything like that, they can comment and then we could talk about them or their comment. Just like DS, he said it's Yahoo.
But I read Yahoo.
No, I think he agrees with me. It's Yahoo.
I think he agrees with me. It's Yahoo.
Okay. Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us. Dan, before we get into all these headlines, do you want to tell people what this show is actually all about?
You know, I'd love to. Now, when Ray and I met here on the interwebs long time ago, before the internet was actually created, we met.
Yeah.
There you go. D Jones checking in.
What's up, D?
D, is it Yahoo or Yahoo? Comment down below.
Yeah, you got to comment below.
But when I met him, I had an idea for a show because it's, I am in fact a bearded man in real estate. But when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
What was that, Daniel?
When he was a kid, he used to walk uphill both ways to school. Did you guys know that?
So I did walk uphill one. Both ways. I lived on the best hill in the entire city of Bryant. And any time that it snowed, which was like 4 times my entire life, everyone went to our hill. But then I got a little more bold as I got older. And did you have one of those, those Nash boards, those Nash skateboards? It wasn't the cool skateboard. It was like the one from Walmart. You know what I'm talking about?
Them. Yeah, I didn't have one, but I know them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, perfect for luge. So we would lay down on those things and luge down our street, getting under cars and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but no, I did not have to walk uphill both ways. That's scientifically impossible for those of you who don't know.
Right.
D Jones agrees with me. She says it's Yahoo. So
no, it's Yahoo. See, Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Not yeah, yeah.
that's what I said. Yeah. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, she's singing the commercial. Yahoo. Anyway, it's not Yahoo. Anyway, no, but I obviously noticed he's a beautifully bearded man. But what I also noticed is he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but just to humans in general. So the show's about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
Yeah, and one of the ways we think it's important to be more is by knowing what in the world is going on, especially if you're helping people manage their largest investment. So that's one of the reasons why we created the new show. We wanted to create one place where you could come for about an hour and get the gist of everything that's happening economically and also in the real estate industry as a whole, so that you can wax poetic in front of your clients and let them know exactly what's happening. So
there's a rare occurrence happening. Everyone's agreeing with me.
I don't think so. I think they're all agreeing with me.
He says Dan is 100% right. Thank you, Stanley. By the way, just a super fun side note. If you ever see me wincing in pain, it's because my cat's biting my foot. Just a side note. But anyway, everyone's agreeing with me. So
barefoot.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, are you ready to get in some of these headlines?
Yes. Why not?
Big gigantic discussion. Let's go.
Oh man, another one. Dan is right. Let's just keep them going.
Obviously, these people are incorrect. All right. All right. So now I gotta. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. The first thing we're gonna talk about today, the NAR versus it's NAR and Zillow, strange bedfellows, right?
Versus
so weird. REX lawsuit. So this article comes to us from Housing Wire. The lawsuit that alleges the powerful National Association of Realtors and home listings giant Zillow illegally conspired to snuff out the competition has survived NAR and Zillow's motion to dismiss the case. The federal judge is Thomas Zilli, which I think is an interesting side note because I have a lot of people that tell me that they saw this house on Zilli. Is there collusion there? It's something happening. Thomas Zilli, maybe he's just mad. Maybe he's mad that Zillow exists and he's Zilli. It's kind of silly.
I think there's something to that. I thought the exact same thing, right?
So anyway, he found the complaint by real estate brokerage REX plausibly complains that, quote, brokerages, agents, and even customers have no choice but to comply with NAR's so-called optional rules. The Seattle-based judge ruling is the latest in an instance of legal hot water for NAR, a guild for... When you hear the word guild, what do you think of, Dan?
I go right to just some sort of, Lord of the Rings, like quest? A bunch of elves. Yeah, a guild of assassins,
That's exactly what I thought too. A guild for real estate agents that also represents brokerages and advocates for consumers. The Biden administration Justice Department announced in July that they've withdrawn from the consent decree, which we talked about, in order for them to investigate NAR more.
Which we here on the show say, bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. We kind of at that time, especially for that lawsuit in particular, we really wanted that to go through so that it would set a precedent and we wouldn't see any lawsuits in the future. So this lawsuit is a little bit different though. So the Rex lawsuit stems from Zillow changing how it collects home listing information about and publicly displays. So for those of you who don't know, you'd go to Zillow and you see all the listings in one place. You'd see everything from the MLS, everything from for sale by owners, everything from companies like REX. You'd see all of those in one big spot. Okay. Right. Then what happened was Zillow became a broker. Well, we real estate agents have to abide by certain rules that we can't really display listings that are not in the MLS in the same way on our websites that we would display listings from the MLS.
Right.
So Zillow, because now they're a broker, they have to comply with that MLS rule. And because of that, they created two tabs. One tab are here's listings from realtors, and the other tab is other. Now I don't know what those tabs say actually, but that's basically the split. No, it says agent listings and then other listings. So that is what it says. Rex's complaint is it implies that if someone clicks on the other tab, those are listings that are not represented by a licensed real estate agent. And to their claim, that's not true. They are licensed real estate agents. They're just not realtors who abide by the same code of ethics or are a part of the National Association of Realtors. So that's the rub. And that's the quote anti-competitive behavior that now they want to push through to the next court. There could be a settlement. If there's no settlement, then it would go to a higher court.
So
anything else that you saw on that, Dan?
Well, just so what I see, I'm on Zillow right now, and I scroll over to the buy, and it brings down a little drop-down window that says homes for sale. And then there's homes for sale, new construction, foreclosures coming soon. And then there is an all homes tab. So is the all homes the other one? Because I don't
no, that would be an all-encompassing tab, right?
But I mean, I have homes for sale, but there's no like, hey, this is the Rex listing or non-MLS listings. I don't see any of that. It should be something that
says other listings, says Jeremy James.
It just says homes for sale. And then if I go to all homes.
Yeah. Jeremy James says, I can't have pocket listings on my site without NAR hitting me. That's true. Karina says, no, you open that.
You can't do that.
So
anyway.
you open the all homes, and then there's a tab. And then opens an option of 2 tabs. Yeah.
So anyway, but well, no, then I can click a city. Let me click California or a state, and then I can go to city. I mean, I just search it. I don't know. But anyway,
on this episode of Watching a Boomer Use a Computer.
Yeah, I am almost a boomer. I'm almost 48 years old. Oh, maybe he means on the app. I'm on. You can watch a 48-year-old man scroll the internet.
It was like during our show prep show yesterday, we were both reading in Clubhouse, but we were
on
both
an audio only show.
Yeah, we were reading silently about some of the articles that people were back channeling us and stuff like that. D Jones, she says, not a boomer. So yeah, that's pretty.
We are just killing it with content lately. Yeah. I mean,
sick content, y'all. Sick content.
Sick. I did want to add to that. So, did you hit the Biden administration intervened in the lawsuits against NAR, including Rex's complaint?
No, go ahead.
According to Zillow's ruling, the United States Justice Department filed a statement of interest asking this court to decline to draw any inference that in NAR's favor from the 2008 consent decree, which is now expired. Okay, so this I didn't know. Maybe we'd covered on the show. I don't remember it though. But that consent decree dealt with whether NAR sanctioned multiple listing services could withhold data from consumer-facing websites like Zillow, a resolution that arguably enabled Zillow and additional websites like Redfin to blossom. So that's where they got. But then Zillow became a brokerage, and guess what? They had to then go through MLS rules. And to get these feeds, Zillow had to comply with the vast majority of MLSs that adopt the NAR's no commingling rule. Under the rule, Zillow was requested to separate. So they were told to do all this stuff. And then part of what Rex wanted from the filing of the complaint was the judge would issue a preliminary injunction against Zillow's other listings tab. But in June written order, Zillow roundly rejected Rex's call to enjoin Zillow's behavior. Okay, but here's where it turns, because that same judge he's the same one that ruled on this. So Zillow approvingly quotes from Rex's complaint that NAR, quote, is the rare trade association that sets the rule of competition among its members. And these combined actions constitute illegal restraints on trade. So what has changed is my question.
Well, I think my bigger question in it all, because, I could see this. It's hard for me to imagine a situation in which the court forces a company to use its tool for its competition.
Right. And so when their competition's mad that they're not getting any views on their competition's website.
Yeah, that's really strange to me.
Right.
So maybe NAR has to drop the rule, and it's no longer a rule, because that rule you could argue that rule doesn't allow fair competition, but at the same time, Rex could then be charged an absurd amount by Zillow and say, well, you're free to display your listing as our website at a price.
Right.
And how would that be wrong? How would that be wrong?
Well, then how would it affect us on the smaller brokerages though? Like,
could I then display any listings that are for sale anywhere on my website and then lead generate from them?
Yeah. And then would you want to? And if you wanted to, can you brand it like it's, hey, this is, I'm the listing agent, but just like Zillow does, then could you? So I think this would open up a big old can.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me. It's almost like, we've talked about this bagel shop idea in the past. I make bagels, Dan makes bagels, Dan's got a bagel shop and displays all his bagels in the best area in the best neighborhood, and Dan won't allow me to put my bagels in his display case.
You can't put, even though they're the exact same bagels, just
mine you could argue that mine are better, Dan. The representation and quality of my bagels are by far superior to your bagels.
So you want my customers to taste your bagels and let them decide.
Let them all eat my bagels, Dan. And in order to do that, Dan, I'm going to take you to court. I'm going to take you to court, Dan, and we're going to force you to put my bagels in your bagel display.
Well, okay, and that's fine. You can put them in there, but I'm going to charge you a fee for every one I sell.
Okay, but the fee's got to foster competition. It can't be negative.
In my shop.
Yeah. Isn't this the same thing? Like,
it's extremely absurd, and we're making it even more absurd by making it a bagel. Now, the reason I'll answer the bagel question.
Okay.
Because when everything got shut down because of the Rona, I always questioned, like, we have the social distancing and we, no more than this many people in groups and all that stuff. My local bagel shop never had more than 3 or 4 people in it, including the workers at a time. Why did they get shut down? So I've just kind of been equating everything to bagels for the last year and a half. So I did on the Zillow thing. I'm like, if Ray and I both sell bagels, but he marketed better than I do, why would I be mad about it?
Because Dan, everyone else is going to eat my bagels, not yours.
But mine are better than yours. So
we just don't see how that's different. Like, how is that a different situation in which Rex is asking NAR to do?
It's not at all.
Now, if NAR if Dan the Bagel Man said, actually, that's not a bad name, Dan. If you start a bagel shop, Dan the Bagel Man.
I need to start making bagels.
If Dan the Bagel Man said, no, I'm not going to carry Ray's bagels all day. This
alliteration is getting out of control.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So if Dan said, I can't because there's a bigger bagel bureaucracy above me, and due to the bigger bagel bureaucracy, they don't allow me to carry Ray's bagels all day in Dan the Man's bagel shop.
Right, because I became an owner of a bagel shop. Right. So now they could say doesn't allow me to carry your bagels.
Right. So you could have a case, Dan the Bagel Man versus the bigger bagel bureaucracy. You could have a case against them yourself, and me and you could come together and say, hey, you got to let Ray bagels all day be in the Dan the Bagel Man shop. You can't stop that.
Right.
D Jones chiming in with the real answers. She said, I'd like a chocolate chip bagel with egg white and cheese. How much?
Well, for my bagels, that'll cost you $4.45. For Ray's, that'll cost you $6.35.
So Mike Elizabeth Rodell, extending the analogy even further, said, but are they really better than Dan's bagels? Dan has spent bazillions making sure his bagel is better. Ray's maybe sold one bagel in his entire life. So that is the rub.
Yeah. Now just equate those two things to Zillow and Rex, and you'll understand. There you go.
All right, so let's move on to the next. I mean, we could probably wax poetic about bagels all day, but let's go ahead.
All day.
And I think I've said wax poetic now 3 times in the show. A shock is headed for the housing market.
Oh my God.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Wait till we get into this one, Ray. It's crazy.
This is from Fortune magazine and was brought to us by, did Shawnee bring that? Yeah. No, Shawnee brought us the other one. Oh man. I didn't take notes yesterday on who mentioned this one, but Cindy mentioned this one. So Cindy said, at the height of the pandemic, more than 7.2 million homeowners were in the mortgage forbearance program, which allowed some borrowers to pause their payments. One of the fastest recoveries in history happened, which Logan Matashami also quotes in his article that we'll get to later. Biden-Harris administration has made it clear that it has no plans for another extension of the mortgage forbearance program, which is set to lapse September 30th. Borrowers won't all get removed at once. Instead, they'll be phased out over a period of 7 months. For details, go here. Nevertheless, Fortune has previously reported this is a major shakeup headed towards the housing market. More than 80 million homeowners. 1.7 million might not sound a lot until you consider that there are over 600,000 homes right now on Realtor.com.
On Realtor.com.
Right. Is that?
It's not
And-
total homes available. It's on
and then-
realtor.com.
Well, listen to the next thing they say. In fact, this year's housing inventory hit a 40-year low.
Okay, it's getting worse. Okay.
Wait, so that means if you add 1.7 million houses to the 600,000 that are listed on realtor.com, wouldn't that solve the inventory shortage? Okay, let's just keep reading. So even if a small
Right.
percentage of the 1.7 million struggling borrowers opt to sell rather than returning to their monthly payments, it could cause a shock in the housing market.
It's bad.
But is
This
the
is
shock
horrible.
bad? Even before mortgage forbearance ends, the market's already starting to cool. After seeing housing inventory plummet over 50% between April 2020 and April 2021, it's moving up again. So again, like the whole article, and Dan, I kind of want you to tell us a little bit about what you read in this, but
Yeah.
the whole article, it has these sensational phrases.
Yes.
And shortly right after the sensational phrase, it has the basically throwing the cold water on their own sensational phrase. But it's almost like the writer of the story, poor Lance Lambert. No, he did the chart. That was from realtor.com. Lance Lambert did write this. It's almost like the writer of the article ignored his own cold water and just continued to talk about the shock wave and the shock and all the bad stuff that's going to happen to the housing market. Dan, is your take any different from that?
No, because he goes on in his own article. Ray already hit that even before the mortgage forbearance ends, the market is already starting to cool after seeing housing inventory plummet 50% between April 2020 and April 2021. It's moving up again. So then he covers that. And then he also says over the past year, the median home prices are up 17.2%, according to estate research, real estate. That's from CoreLogic. So if in fact you do have to go through foreclosure or forbearance ends and you cannot pay, the median home price, which median, not the average, the median home price is up 17.2%. Most likely you have built equity over the last year and a half while you haven't been paying. So even if you had to sell, which we covered on the show prep show yesterday, you would most likely you're sitting on inventory or on equity, which would then help relieve the inventory crisis, right? And he keeps going on to say, but don't expect the end. This is in the same article. After saying, boom, hiss, explosions, are all going to die. But don't expect the end of forbearance to sink the market. He certainly wrote this. A housing market crash is very unlikely. In the short term, a wave of demographics and years of, and I don't want to go into Logan's, but Logan's going to have a bunch on this in his article as well. And years of underbuilding will ensure industry insiders tell Fortune that demand outmatches supply. And then it keeps going on to say a foreclosure meltdown is also unlikely. The strong housing market means most of these struggling homeowners have positive home equity. And then it goes on. But it's just all these crazy incendiary words and headlines. And then he's like, no, but it's not going to happen.
It's almost like the shock is not necessarily a bad thing. It's like the shock that you'd use to restart a heart, right? That's a good shock.
It's like, well, hey, thanks, I'm alive. So what was it last week when it was that article about Zillow's new what is it? They have a new patent, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, this is
20 patents that Zillow has that may change the way your website displays.
And it's going to ruin everything real estate's there for real estate agents. They're going to take over the world. And then you read and you're like, oh, you have a competing product. Because at the end it says, if you want to do it differently, go here. And so
we were developing this app. Yeah. But we had fun building up that story for everyone. Doug Johnson says, typical shock news, right? That's right. What's up, dog?
Typical shock trooper.
Doug, are you going to be at the Tom Ferry thing? Oh, that's the other thing. If you guys are going to Tom Ferry, hit me up on the back channel on Instagram and let me know. We may do like a little BMORE meetup or.
Where is that? In Tejas?
Yeah. Dallas, Texas. October 5th, 6th, and 7th. So let me know if you guys are going to be there. Maybe we'll go grab some bagels.
Yeah, Dan's bagels. I'll be selling my bagels here in California, but that's my birthday month, man. So I'll be celebrating birthday month. So y'all are gonna have to have one for me.
There you go. Pour bagel out for your homie. All right. So let's talk about the new news that just released. Mortgage demand falls to its lowest in 2 months as rates stagnate. We had another article on here that we may even get to that talked a little bit about mortgage rates staying low. Well, we probably won't get to it because I just mentioned it. Hey, mortgage rates are staying low. That's
There
the
you
whole entire other article.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, total mortgage application volume fell 1.9% last week compared with the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association seasonally adjusted index. It was the lowest level since July. This is a quote from Mike Frantantoni, MBA's chief economist. He said,
that name.
refinance volume has been moderating while purchase volume continues to be lower than expected, given the lack of homes on the market. Economic data has sent mixed signals with slower job growth, but further drop in the unemployment rate in August. We expect that further improvements will lead to the tapering of Fed MBS purchases, mortgage-backed securities, by the end of the year, which should put some upward pressure on mortgage rates. That's been in the news a lot lately, us talking about mortgage rates and what was going to happen. I know Ron Bruno, is he here today? I know he flew by the room a little bit earlier. His prediction was that rates would stay low, and they have. I
Mine
said
was
that
too.
they would eventually go up. Dan said that they would stay low. I think he said what? I said 6 months they'd start to increase. Three months they'd start to increase, and that looks like it's going to be in 6 months they're going to start to increase. So I was off by like 3 months. But I think we are seeing people, putting their house on the market now, saying, "Man, rates are lower. I feel like I'm at the tail end of the seller's market where, quote, home price gains may slow. I want to take advantage of it." But we still are at a lack of inventory, according to Mike Frantantoni.
Frantantoni.
But
I don't see this as a bad thing at all. I mean, if mortgage rates go up, I think that'll cool the market a little bit. And then I think it'll shake a lot of those sellers that are on the fence, because more inventory will come on. They'll be like, okay, I have a place to buy now. Yes, maybe I'm not getting a 2.4 interest rate, but I'll get a 3.4 or a 3.5 or even 3.75. Anything under 4, anything under 7 historically is really solid. So I don't know why my voice did that. I apologize, guys.
You went up there.
It's
really passionate about that point. That's how you know.
But anyway, if they stay under 4% and you don't have to freak out about a 60-day rent back, and I might not be able to find a house, and you're still going to get kind of at the top of the market sale, and then maybe buy in more of a cooled off market, maybe negotiate some actual repairs on a house and not have to go in with no appraisal contingency,
Jeremy James says home price gains
will
will plateau.
Yeah.
Are you talking about home prices plateauing or home price gains plateauing? I think home price gains will slow, but that means prices are still going to be increasing slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Doug Johnson said, I remember high interest rates. Yeah. That's a good thing to bring up now. Flash your mic if you want to talk about either this article or the last one, or if you want to try mine and Dan's Bagels, and I can bring you guys up here in the clubhouse room. I'm taking a look at it right now. I'm not seeing any lights flashing. I got a couple of back channel messages, but with me also being the producer, it's super difficult to read the back channel messages. So I just love it if you want to talk about what you sent me on the back.
You guys can send me messages too, because I can read. I'm doing considerably less than Ray as far as producing the show goes.
Because Dan says I can read. Yeah. You guys can message me too. I can read.
I can read. Now I'm gonna be like,
yeah, you'll hold it way out there, boomer. Okay.
My eyes have been going bad for the last 6 years. So
all right, Andy, I'm gonna bring you up, man. Hang on just a second. There you are. All right, Andy, did you have something that you wanted to say about one of these articles?
Yeah, the first one, the Zillow thing. It sounds like they're fighting against reciprocity. When it comes to the websites, usually the MLS is the middleman there for all the brokerages that bring their listings, and you automatically have reciprocity. It sounds like somebody's challenging reciprocity and like forcing reciprocity when you don't have to. If you really wanted to click the button and say, no, I don't want to send it out to everybody else, then you can't.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if it's found to be that NAR is forcing reciprocity, then what does that mean for other parts of our industry that are reciprocal? Meaning whenever I list a property and then agree to split that commission with the buyer's agent, are they then going to go after that side of the reciprocity? And the answer is yes. We know that they are.
Which they are.
That's why I'm bringing it up. But yeah, Andy, that's a really good point. Thanks for Thanks for bringing that one up.
And way to use that's a good word there, with all the alliteration happening.
And Scap is already dogging my bagels. I'm not gonna dignify that with a comment, Scap. I just looked at the back channel. All right. So let's go to the next. Dan, you essentially said that last one wasn't too concerning for you, but I think this one might be the most concerning one for you. Let's try it out. 48% of renters say they won't ever be able to buy a home, survey finds.
Gosh, out of the whole country, 48% out of all the renters in the country, all of them, 48% worry that they won't be able to buy a home. That's crazy.
Is big news, Dan. This is on CNBC.
Yeah.
48% of renters. That was so dry and not genuine that it made me laugh.
Well, because where we're going.
Yeah. 48% of renters worry they won't be able to find a home during their lifetime, according to a new Lending Tree survey.
During their lifetime.
Ever. Yeah, ever. That concern is largest among renters in Generation X, 41 to 55 years old, and millennials, 25 to 40 years old. To that point, 55% of Gen X renters and 52% of millennial renters are worried about their prospects of home ownership, according to the survey, which was published August 31st. People are in the midst of their careers, especially Gen Xers, in their peak earning years, and they're thinking, quote, if I haven't bought a house at this point, it's probably not going to happen, said Jacob Channel, a senior economic analyst at Lending Tree. Dan, is there anything major that you want to bring out? I mean, that's pretty terrible, right?
If you can't see where Ray's scrolling, if you're listening on Clubhouse, you can't see Ray scrolling, asking if there's anything else.
Is there anything else, Dan, that you want to bring up on this? Yeah.
Let's see here.
Wait, we have a couple of comments. Let me get to. Wow, my whole computer just shooketh. All right, so we have a couple of comments. The State Line group. Oh, that's just Pete.
It's Pete Porp. Pete Porp is his name.
He said they also think they need 20% down payments and deserve a 2,500 square foot loft downtown with full amenities.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's one take.
It's a hot take.
Hot take, Pete. Anything else you want to talk about in this article? Because that's pretty downtrodden, I would say, Dan.
And it's all of the renters. I do want to add two things real quick, because there's the last stat I want to hit. But Americans held $34 trillion in real estate assets in the first quarter of 2021, or about 23% of total household assets. Households also had 11 trillion in total home mortgage liabilities. So
wow, Dan, that's 11 trillion in debt
compared to 34 trillion in real estate assets. So
but that's 11 trillion is a big number, Dan.
It is. And when you do the math, 34 is a bigger number. And then when you do the real math, right at the end there, Ray, if you want to bring that up, it'll say Lending Tree's online survey pulled every single American. Oh, wait.
Where'd it go?
2050 U.S. consumers from August 2nd to August 6th. Oh, okay. So this is all based on 2,000 people. He's zooming in. This is all based on 2,000 people.
Oh, so this whole, okay. So maybe it was, and I have to say they were consumers, but were they their customers? Like, how'd they do it? Did they just call people?
Okay,
we're covering it because
wait.
Covered it.
I just did a quick search. Are you ready?
Yep.
So there's 320-ish million people in the United States, right?
Yep.
I was curious. I don't want to know adult renters. I want to know all renters. So I just searched. I did a quick search on the interwebs here. I know I'm a boomer, but I did it fast. And how many renters in US? 44.1 million renter households. Yet this survey only pulled 2,000 people.
Well, it's a sample size.
It's a very okay. So if you walked up to Auntie Anne's pretzels,
we go pretzels now. Is that what we're doing?
Oh, sorry, Uncle Dan's. What am I? Dan the Bagel Man's bagels.
Dan the Bagel Man. Yeah.
I would give you one sesame seed. That's how small this sample size is.
That's so good.
So I don't know.
So you're saying that article is not worrying you either then?
It's not worrying me either.
All right.
And in the article, they say they're making, because what I do worry about is minimum wage and wage increases, and they do mention that it's not keeping up with housing prices. So I do understand that part, but it also mentions, hey, these millennials are making more than ever. So then it kind of goes back to what Pete was saying. They want a 2,500 square foot in the middle of downtown that's going to cost you, commercial space $2.3 million.
And it's their first home.
As their first home. No, but you can buy a condo just 20 miles outside of downtown and you'll be fine for like $300,000.
Well, I think this article might be the one that actually worries you then, Dan.
Okay.
Because one of the things we need, and we've been talking about how we need the government to step in and help us. Biden affordability efforts make no waves in the housing industry. This is terrible news.
Just off the title, though, is that like, wah, wah, it makes no waves, it's not going to do anything? Or is it like, no, it's not making any waves, it's fine? Like, how do you read this?
That's a good point. I took it as like it's not working. But you think it may be like, well, this is smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's just they're just trying to dip their toe in the water. It's not making any waves. Everything's cool. They're just trying to help.
Ripple. They're just putting a little ripple into the housing market to see what they can do.
Yep, they're just dipping their toe in.
Let's see. Okay. Last week, Biden administration unveiled a multi-pronged proposal for federal agencies to address the lack of housing inventory ahead of action from Congress.
Okay, I just changed my opinion. I reread what I wrote. So, okay, go on. Sorry.
While the announcement didn't include any major new programs, federal agencies will start programs that previously lapsed, such as the U.S. Treasury and the Department of Housing and Urban Development's risk-based sharing program, and the increased funding for existing programs in the Federal Housing Finance Agency, that's FHFA. They announced a significant increase from $1 billion to $1.7 billion in government-sponsored enterprise investments and low-income housing tax credit projects.
Okay.
The lack of supply is a huge problem. And HUD and FHFA should do what they can administratively while Congress considers more significant initiatives, said Brooksmith. This is what were you laughing? I could hear you laughing.
I forgot what I wrote, and now
he's the president of the Mortgage Bankers Association. Okay. He said the MBA looks forward to continuing to work with the administration, Congress, and other stakeholders on ways to address supply constraints and issue government programs appropriately to complement the private capital to help both renters and homeowners. So is that what they're talking about? Actually giving some sellers some relief by encouraging development in specific areas?
Oh, I mean, that's the thought behind it. Yeah. But go on.
All right. I'm just the National Association of Realtors, which represents real estate agents and whose Fannie is in the hot seat, was also very supportive of those efforts by the administration, who they hope won't sue them, especially those actions directed at preventing corporate landlords from buying single-family homes. The FHFA will extend the period owner occupants, public entities, and nonprofits, they have to buy Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac real estate owned properties before competing with investor bids. So for those of you who don't know, if you're a consumer watching this, you're like, what was that? So whenever there's a property that hits the market that is being foreclosed on, there's a period of time in which if you're a home owner, like you're going to own that home yourself and live there, owner occupant, or if you're a charity or a government or a public entity, you will have preferential treatment in putting your bid in over an investor or a corporation who wants to buy it as a second home or invest in that property and make money off of it.
And they want to extend that period.
That's right. They're going to extend that period before they entertain investor bids.
Okay, so now it sounds like they want to create or rehab or build a bunch of new homes, right?
Like 100,000 homes in 3 years.
Okay. That's 33,000 homes a year. That's not going to solve, we're 6 million homes low right now.
Yeah, that's what D. Jones said, but there's no HUD homes.
There's no HUD homes.
So just like buying politicians, companies are now buying, are now people buying homes. So this is really interesting. I had something happen to me in this market that had never happened before. So I actually was on Clubhouse the other day and I asked some Clubhouse members about it. And I said, have you ever dealt with this company? What the company was doing is they buy the house and then turn around and owner finance it or lease option it to another person. And that person didn't have the credit, they didn't have the history or anything in order to be able to use traditional financing. So this situation is actually preventing those companies, from doing that and buying those homes in lease option or owner financing. But I don't know if that's good or bad one way or the other. I know there was some other agents in larger markets talking about huge neighborhoods that were being bought by basically hedge fund type groups. They would come in and buy this entire neighborhood and turn it into a rental, or then try to flip the neighborhood and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's interesting to see what's going on. Basically, what the administration has put into place apparently is not going to do that much. And I think that's the general consensus.
I think that's the wave they made.
Yeah. It doesn't look like a ton of relief for sellers who, we've been talking about how are they going to encourage sellers to list their house. We talked about builders. Maybe they can incentivize builders. It looks like they're going to continue the incentives that are already put into place for that. But builders are having a hard time building stuff that people are already pre-selling, right?
It does mention stuff about certain zones and opportunity zones and stuff like that. But I don't know. Again, that's future. That's future builds. That's going to be 2-3 years from now. There you go. I've been saying it for months. So when you read the article, you're like, okay, cool. They want to incentivize sellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's no meat in this article about that. And it's 100,000 homes, which is great. Let's do 100,000 homes. Let's not do that. But over the next 3 years, that's not a big splash at all. That's nothing. So then I reread the title. Now the wave is like, they're not going to cause any waves. And then if you want to highlight Jeremy James, he says it, what we've been saying on the show for a long time, because all of their efforts are buyer focused and not incentivizing sellers. So if you really want to solve this, how do you incentivize a seller? If you're selling and buying, you get a $5,000 credit, or we'll put in, if the house isn't, I can think of 1,000 ideas. I don't want to go through them on the show, but you can think of 1,000 ideas to really help sellers. Even, I don't know, cash out in there. You could, I can't even get into it. It's just so frustrating that it doesn't matter what administration is here. We need relief for sellers. We need sellers to get off the fence. And it's like, here's another $2,500 credit if you buy a home today.
You know what they could do is, like, a seller who lists their home and then they have that interim period in which they can't buy stuff and all that. They could actually do some kind of incentive where if that seller had to rent back the property while they search for another home, maybe they get a break there. Or if there's something that would encourage them to list their home before they found a different home, then if everyone did that, we'd probably be in like a normal feeling housing market.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan. Well, here's a big problem.
Okay, let's go to the next one. By the way, DJ says, let's get Dan to Washington. I'm in. Let's go.
Let's get Dan to Washington.
Ray and I would be great, by the way, because we're centrist-ish, but then one goes this way and one gould that way. We'd have some great discussions just on our own. I think we could solve it all just between the two of us. But anyway.
Yeah, Jonathan Pyron, he's in my market. He says, yes, I've had an offer on a listing in my mail from HPA you're talking about. We did not take it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one who offered.
There you go.
They backed out in like 2 days they put in the best offer and they were like, I wouldn't want it. I don't know.
Right, so anyway, does that mean they put out a bunch of different offers and got something else accepted? Or
well, maybe. But one of the things we did to them is that we noticed in the contract that it wasn't dependent upon the person they were representing approving the home. So we kind of put in our counter to make sure that it had no bearing on anyone else, that they were going to buy the home anyway, and they did not sign that counter.
Yeah.
All
right. So what's the next thing? It's gonna.
Okay. So here's a quote from the article here. And this is really going to worry you, Dan. I feel it. This is the one.
Okay.
The buyers just keep marching into the jaws of destruction, Redfin's Glenn Kelman said in an interview on Closing Bell. That's an interesting. I just kind of want people to wonder, especially the ones in Clubhouse not being able to see the article currently. What in the world could we be talking about? Buyers marching into the jaws of destruction with no wherewithal of what they're doing.
No, you have no idea what you're doing. You're just going to buy a house that's going to collapse in 2 months.
The
is what that
buyers
means.
themselves are driven by affordability, and the most affordable places in America are places that are of the most risk of being affected
But
by
That's-
climate change.
that's not true, though.
I
I live in California where fires are all over the place.
No, they're going to be flooded by hurricanes. They're going to be affected by wildfires. And these are the cheap places, Dan, the ones right there on the coastline that the ocean can just swallow up.
Yeah,
Super
historically, coastal properties are always much cheaper. So
Much cheaper. The ones that are overlooking beautiful mountain passes with these forests that are just basically gigantic unlit fires under those houses, those are always the cheapest homes.
Yeah.
The buyer, sorry. If you look at where people are moving to, it's Florida in the southeast.
Why did you say it like that? It's Florida.
Sorry, I feel like that's how he would say it. I don't have the audio quote, but I feel like it's Florida and the southeast, which is especially flood prone and also has incredible heat risk temperatures. And they're also moving to places like Phoenix and Las Vegas and Utah, which what is in Utah?
I love that that's how he speaks. Phoenix and Vegas and Utah.
Disaster in Utah. Is Cindy still here? Cindy. Wait, I'm going to put her up here.
Yeah, Cindy
Hang on,
sells Utah.
Cindy, Ariana here, Silicon Slopes. I got an echo.
Yeah.
But
okay,
yeah,
sorry.
we had an earthquake March 18th, 2020. So 3 days after the shutdown of COVID.
Wait, that's not climate change, though.
And it shook things up pretty good. We are on a major fault here in Utah, right through Salt Lake City.
So Salt Lake area for natural disasters is earthquakes. I don't know if you know this, Dan, but I am sitting right now in Tornado Alley and on the largest fault in the world, the New Madrid fault or New Madrid fault, however you want to say it. All the teachers at my school are calling it New Madrid. So the New Madrid fault line
is Madrid.
New Madrid. Oh, Cindy says Madrid. I think my teachers were saying Madrid. Anyway, that we're on one of the largest fault lines in the world right here in Arkansas.
I did not know that.
It's hard for me to imagine a place in the United States or world in which you would escape the impact of weather or climate change, however you can. You think of a place that's impeccably safe? I can't.
Anywhere?
Yeah, I can't think of somewhere.
I can't. Australia is, but then they have like spiders that can eat your face.
In the U.S., we're talking about U.S. Utah's population grew more than 18% between 2010 and 2020, making it the fastest U.S. growing state. In that time period, according to the Census Bureau, Kelman pointed out that a recent Redfin analysis found that more than 1/3 of homes in Utah face what the company classifies as, quote, high fire risk.
The company classifies.
Well, the Redfin is the one crunching the data there. I think the idea is that climate change is going to be factored into how people think about housing, and it hasn't happened yet. The only people who figured out, oh, wow, look at what's happening to our StreamYard. Do you see this? Is that just me?
Just you.
Do y'all still see me?
Yep.
Huh.
And we hear you. What's happening?
It's like I am a big white box and you're a big pink box. Now I can't see what's happening.
We're good. I see everything. You guys see it okay?
Oh, now it just came back. That's really strange. All right, so I got to report that to StreamYard. Anyway,
super stoked it made me pink, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? He said it. Sorry, guys, a little behind the scenes. Increasingly, it's going to be harder to get insurance, and it's going to be harder to get a loan for these properties because lenders are going to see the writing on the wall.
Wait. Now, I'm not saying climate change does or doesn't exist, but can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, Ron Bruno's here. Ron, I'm just giving you an alert. We're going to come to you in just a second because I want you to tell me about how lenders are looking at climate change currently. Go ahead, Dan.
I just want to know if Redfin or if insurance companies say that a flood is coming, you're in a high fire zone, what do they have to benefit from that?
No benefit. They have no benefit to write insurance in those areas, Dan.
Okay, so they're just impartial third parties that are saying, no. Right. This data suggests that this is a higher flood zone or area than others. So you would potentially have to pay more insurance if you wanted to move there.
but they're not going to be looking Dan. I mean, I see what you're doing there. They're not going to be looking at climate change and saying we're going to increase rates due to potential risk from quote climate change unquote.
Okay.
And then you're not suggesting nefarious activity from an good old insurance company.
I actually am suggesting that now here though. Climate change is kind of what's happening or the future. Like if we don't do this, this is going to happen, or this is happening, right?
Yeah. Or
but
and the other side of the coin is climate change is happening whether you drive an SUV or a Tesla.
Right.
But now continue.
But I'm saying though, like where I'm sitting currently in Southern California,
a Tesla.
I own a Tesla, but if everything is there, yeah. By the way, if all the electricity I need, by the way, increases temperatures. So anyway, but sorry. But it where I'm sitting, if wildfires, which we have fires, there's 3 or 4 of them around me now, but they're always kind of happening now. If there's no more or no less than any point in history, then why would my insurance go up? I'm just asking a question. I'm not inferring anything. I'm just asking a question. Historically, if the fires aren't going up, why would I look at possible data that may or may not happen to increase my rates when historically they're still the same?
Or to increase your cost of the loan acquisition.
Right.
All right,
why
Ron,
would that? I'm just asking a question. Why would that go up?
Ron, you're up. Is it getting more expensive somehow in places that have higher risk of natural disasters in order to get loans? Or is this something that you guys are starting to factor in? Or is this way in the future?
Okay, so the first thing that you said in this segment where you were talking about where it was becoming, homeowners are moving to places that are the lowest cost, but they have the largest natural disasters. The first thing that came to mind was, well, no, it's not the lowest because of the insurance side of it, right? So insurance thinks ahead because it directly affects their profitability. Lenders, we're a little bit more in the moment, right? So when we had Snowmageddon here in Dallas, Texas, and all of Texas for that matter, any loan that we had currently in place where we had people go out from an appraisal standpoint, we had to do a reinspection at all of those homes. And the reason why is because if pipes burst and that affects the overall viability of that particular property, we have to do a reinspection. Now, if the home, so that's what happens anytime there's a natural disaster. So anytime there's a hurricane, anytime there's fires, we always have to address it. And we're still addressing it in our comments when it comes to appraisals, where we have to actually have the appraiser comment that the home was not materially affected during Snowmageddon, right? So that's still happening, even though it's 100 degrees here. So that's just kind of one of the things from a natural disaster standpoint. Now, as far as future thinking, lenders, we typically fall back on whatever is happening with insurance. So if the home is located in a floodplain, we're going to require flood insurance, right? And there's also certain investors, they have different guidelines when it comes to addressing homes that are in a floodplain. And so it basically all starts from the insurance side and then it filters down. Lenders, they really haven't built in extra hits or anything on the loan side of it based on geography. We just have to comment on, has a natural disaster affected the marketability of this particular property, and also to make sure that the property has sufficient insurance coverage, whether it's in a fire zone or in a flood zone or any of those items. So hopefully that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, that's great. Thanks for joining. I can always count on Ron to have some good information and kind of know what's going on. So I appreciate that.
And I like the part about insurance companies are looking more at the future because it affects their profitability, but lenders are more in the now. I like that.
Yeah. And what was that, Cindy? Go ahead.
What's happened here in Utah, speaking of, and I think it will affect a lot of the country in the fire areas. So we had a fire here last year, and FEMA now came in this spring and remapped the flood zone because of the burn scar. And so I was trying to get a buyer into a property here, and they had all kinds of rules and regulations of what could be done in remodeling with the basement and different things like that. So in that regard, that's what I'm seeing. And it caused the house to fall out of contract 4 times before it finally closed. Example.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's kind
really
of
good.
that's based on something that happened though.
Yeah. Something that's
Not-
actually happening.
Right,
What
and
we're looking
so-
at is the future projection, and we kind of talked about this a little bit in the past when more third-party websites like Realtor.com and a couple of others, I think Redfin, they were starting to put climate change risk information on listings, and we were really kind of questioning the data. You'd have to really find some agenda-free data to put that information on there.
Do you guys have we do it on every listing. We do an NHD, National Hazard Disclosure. Do you guys have that?
No.
It's part of our process. So it's an NHD report, National Hazard Disclosure Report. So that's part of what the buyer sees when they're buying a house. You get to look, you're in the flood zone, you're in this burn area, you're in this whatever. So
yeah. Well, we have flood zones and stuff here, but usually insurance says, hey,
it's all disclosed, and you have to get homeowners insurance before closing on the house. So it's going to take into account the roof, if there's a basement, what natural hazard zones it's in, all that. It's going to take all that into account, and that lets the buyer know, hey, this may or may not happen. And if you buy some of that extremely affordable oceanfront property, it may fall into the ocean.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention, Shawnee gave us this article from Realtor.com that kind of sent us in this direction. More storms like Ida will probably come, upending real estate markets. And one of the reasons why it said it would upend the real estate markets is because the risk and the insurance cost and things like that being considerably higher. So it is something that's in the news a lot. I think it's definitely more future talk, but I also think we're naive to assume that this will be done fairly and without major people taking major advantage of it.
That's the main question. Whether climate change is a thing or not a thing, or you believe in it or don't believe it, or what, or crunch your own data, whatever it is. My biggest question is, are they going to take the fears of Americans and try to capitalize on this? Because that would be absolutely abhorrent.
Fears of Americans. Listen to Dan sounding like a politician. Man.
I know. Yeah. D Jones wants to get me to Washington, so I got to start now on the show.
Yeah. They're capitalizing on the fear. You got to do this thing with your hand where your thumb is on top of your fist. The fear of Americans. Yeah.
Of American citizens.
Pete Thorpe, he's right with him. He says, of course they are, 100%. Yeah. All right. So I want to get to 2 articles really quickly, and it's kind of like the last 2 that we're going to talk about today. One is by Logan Matashami. The other one is on The Real Deal. Is this behind a paywall? No, they just don't want me to block their content. They want me to whitelist their content and turn off my 4 pop-up blockers. That's a lot of trouble. So I'm just going to mention the article. Basically, The Real Deal.
We got to go anyway. So
yeah, and then you can kind of go into it more if you want to, and we can go into it with the Logan Matashami article. But basically, The Real Deal says that buyers are rejoicing because U.S. housing market is returning to normal. And they're what is the main reason? What is the main thing that they're saying has the effect of the market returning to normal, Dan?
I don't know. I didn't read the article.
Oh, okay. Well done. Way to do some research for the show, Dan.
Hey,
no, there was a lot we had going on. Okay, I'll display it then. Here it is. Here's the article. I thought, oh wow, look at that. It did it again. I just whitelisted this one.
It won't.
It won't.
Wow,
go.
and look at that picture on. If you're watching on Club or listening on Clubhouse, the storms like Ida will probably come out. The picture is just super duper devastation, which I understand. But why is that the main picture?
Well, they're trying to get in the hearts and minds.
There you go.
So buyers shouldn't break out the bubbly just yet. Oh my goodness, I have disabled.
All right. Anyway, The Real Deal wants to hinder us. Anyway.
Yeah, The Real Deal is cutting our legs out from under us here.
But it says it right there. It says buyers rejoice as the housing market starts to normalize. Then they start off with, don't rejoice just yet.
Yeah, and the median list price is kind of what they were referring to. It's down from 385 to 380. Sellers appear to be more inclined to reduce prices. Well, one of the reasons, like we know as real estate agents, and I think The Real Deal knows this too, they're just not putting all this out there. Another paywall.
Jeez,
I mean, that was
they're relentless.
one of the things that we're seeing when these home prices decrease, yes, we're seeing sellers reduce their price, but they're reducing their price because they thought they could put their home on the market and get
crazy price.
$100,000 over market value.
Right.
So now they're like, okay, let's just go to a normal price, and they're starting to reduce.
Right.
The other thing that's happening is that there is a little more inventory trickling on in the bottom 1/3, 1/4 of the market, and that's going to lower your median and lower your average home price overall as more of those homes sell. And we've talked about that in the past too. So
I wanted to add that
that's not new news, I would say.
It's not new news. And I think what you really need to do, if you're an agent out there listening, or if you're a consumer, reach out to an agent that knows your local areas or know the areas that you're trying to buy in or sell in. And you, as an agent, you really got to study your markets. And just from your own listings, you can probably tell you're not getting 50 offers. You're not getting 200 showings over a weekend. You're getting, 15 offers. You're getting 8 offers. But like Ray has said on the show, if you got 25 offers and now you're getting 8, out of those 8, probably 6 are going to be really serious, legit offers. Now, out of those 25, it's probably about 10 of those that are not super serious, and maybe a few investors just trying to see if they can lowball it. And then they're going to call you and ask her, hey, is your seller serious about selling? Because we're ready to move forward. We're ready to close in 14 days. But is that really the market? So you just have to know your markets, the markets that you work in, and go ahead and look. If you don't look at, because there's active and coming soon, and then there's closed, but you should really look at what's in the, for us here in California, it's, we have backup offers or accepted under contract, and then we have pending. I look at those numbers a lot to see how many more, because if there's a bunch of coming soon, but there's more pending, that means there's going to be a lot of closes coming up. Yeah. So really, really study the data. I implore you to study your data.
And Logan, he studies his data. I want to hit his article really quick. He's got a lot of information here, but again, this is the Housing Wire Plus exclusive content. So we're just going to display some of it and encourage you guys to subscribe to them and read this to support Logan and the good people over there at Housing Wire. They do provide a lot of the news for us. This is not sponsored by Housing Wire, but holy crap, it should be. That was a good read. 1 year ago this month, I combined the term Forbearance Crash Bros and an updated name for Housing Bubble Boys. So basically, Logan talks about why he's winning, and he's winning in the argument that the market is not going to crash.
He's literally wrote an article to tell people how he's winning.
And not only, he mentions like the recession being the shortest. It ended in April 2020. It was one of the shortest in history, and how America bounced back. He even
calls back to his old articles that say he was right.
Yes, that's right. In honor of Labor Day and nearly 10 million job openings currently available, it seems appropriate to revisit what happened and to shorten it, take a victory lap. Yeah. And so this is a great article. One of the reasons we found it was because Cindy was asking us about the Yahoo question or Yahoo article earlier. Yahoo, in which talked about the a shock wave coming in the market, and her investors were asking her and talking about this. Logan's a great resource to kind of talk sensibly in those veins. So we've already hit a lot of this information, which is kind of why I'm scrolling through it. For those of you who are watching, you guys can see the charts and the information. We've already talked a lot about this over the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks
ad nauseum.
It's a good summary article that basically says, no, the forbearance is not going to cause a crash, and that the people that thought there was going to be a crash were about 80% off. Because to have a crash, you need like a 50 to 60% drop. Instead, home prices are 20 to 30% higher. It's a stronger economy. And now suddenly they are 80 to 90% wrong on their prediction. And he talked about how hard it was to be that wrong too, which I thought was really funny.
How difficult it was to be that wrong, because he called it the housing market crash, but then what he calls them the forbearance bros now, right? Or was that was the first? No, forbearance
now they're forbearance crash bros. They were the housing bubble boys.
Housing bubble boys, because the government created housing bubble that was going to burst. And Susie Orman was at the head of that, by the way. We cannot forget Susie.
I took her hat on. On YouTube, but now it's like 9,000 views. It's crazy. I should do more like, here's what Susie said, and here's the reality of it.
You should do the update. Have you done the update yet of how wrong she was?
No, I do plan on. I was kind of waiting until like things were returning back to normal and people were going back to work, which they are starting now. That
buyers are rejoicing.
But they still have one little piece, and that one little piece is this forbearance stuff. And as that ends in September 30th, if we
Then
don't
we'll
see a
see,
huge housing crash, then you're going to see Susie Orman's Wrong Part 2.
And then you got to remember too. I mean, what did the 10 million jobs open right now?
Yeah, 10 million job openings.
I mean, that wasn't the case 15 years ago to when everything crashed 13 years ago. That wasn't the case.
No,
there
people
was
were being kicked out.
Yeah, can't do this. Everything's crashing. Everything crashed.
You had a great time at Jack in the Box last night, right?
Yeah. Last night after our softball game, it was like 10 o'clock. I went to grab something to eat, something super healthy.
All the kids love to go to like Jack in the Box or something after a softball game. That's a thing.
Well, it's just me, but
or the coach just loves to go to Jack in the Box late at night.
And it's a late night. I hadn't eaten in 12 hours. It was a whole thing. And I pull up and it just says we're closed. Unfortunately, we're closed. We're going to open tomorrow at 6. They're open 24 hours. So they don't have enough people working there to work the graveyard shift. By the way, the graveyard shift pays more money.
and you do less work in general.
There's less people there.
There's far less people. You make more money.
And everywhere. So then what did I do? I just went around the corner to Del Taco. I don't think Del Taco is nationwide, but I went to Del Taco. They were open, but there's a sign outside. Hiring all positions, meaning managers, general managers, cashiers, cooks, everything. All positions, join our team everywhere I go right now. So that 10 million number is
so this bodes well for demographics and looks like people could go to work if they wanted to.
Yes, and that is the stat that I always pull because he says this 2020 to 2024 is this projected to be the strongest buyer demographic in the history, Oh, and there we go. Time to go, right?
Yeah, speaking of help, I do want to give a shout out to the moderators and the people that came up to help us in the clubhouse. There's some of them there. If you guys are in the Real Estate Networking Club, please follow that. That's the greenhouse at the very top. Also want you to follow the moderators and the people that are up on stage. Those are people that I've met with or hung out with on Clubhouse in the past. I can vouch for. I know they're legit, but I also just want you guys to know that I appreciate y'all coming in, supporting the show.
Specifically, and also Matt Malarsh.
Matt, I can't say it. Okay, whatever.
Matt Malarsh.
But yeah, we thank you guys for being a part of the show. It's fun to have like Clubhouse and actually hear people's audio. And when an article says, well, for example, in Utah, and then have Cindy from Utah go.
And then we have someone from Utah go, actually,
we had an earthquake too. So, but thank you guys for joining us there. Be sure you follow all those moderators, follow the club so that you're notified. Follow me and Dan too, and hit that bell so that you'll get those notifications. Also wanted to mention we broadcast this live on YouTube and Facebook. One day we might move away from Facebook. So if you're currently watching us on the Facebook, be sure you know where that YouTube channel is so that if we stop broadcasting there, you can pick us up on the YouTubes. We also have a podcast. I think the episode last week was never uploaded because Matt had a baby. So I want to give a shout out to producer Matt, which is why he's not producing with us anymore because dude had a baby. But we'll get that stuff back on track very soon. Also wanted to note, no show next week. We may have like a little headline blip or something come out, but I will be traveling, so no show next week. But other than that, Dan, you got anything else to add? Where can people find you?
D-Ludwig's everywhere. DLUDWIGROCKS. And I already got a bunch of new followers here on Clubhouse. And then I got a new one over on Instagram. And also, I am unashamed. My Cash App name is D-Ludwig. DLUDWIGROCKS. If you just buy me a drink.
Buy the man a drink.
Buy Ray and Dan or Ray and I a drink. We do this show for free. We give you all this content for free. Go ahead. D-Ludwig Rocks on the Cash App. Send me a couple bucks for a drink.
Used to like podcasts and shows like that were kind of run on tips because people don't know it actually does cost money to produce the show. It costs money to actually
get
time on podcast, and we'll pay for help to do some of this stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. But back in the day, like I remember when the podcasts were first launching and stuff, and they had to all buy server space, which we still have to buy server space today, but it's a lot cheaper than it used to be. And they would do like tips and stuff. They would take tips on the show. So
on Twitch, that's how you do it. You join and you donate $1 or $5 or whatever. So, but we're not asking for that. We're just asking for a beer.
Hey, Matt actually did buy me a drink. Thanks, Matt.
There you go.
So thank you guys. All right. Well, we will see you guys next time. Y'all go follow me over on Instagram. I'm Ray Zorback, RayZorback. Don't forget to hit me up if you're going to be in Dallas October 5th to the 7th. We want to connect with you somehow. So let me know if you're going to be there. So bye, everybody. We will see y'all next time.